Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. In this video, we're going to talk about the upcoming first-person shooter from Blizzard, Overwatch, and how I've pissed off a ton of Overwatch fans. So apparently, with my last two Overwatch videos, talking about the lack of a story mode in the game and talking about the whole Tracer's butt controversy, it of course, as expected, attracted some of the Overwatch and Blizzard hardcore fans. While a certain portion of those fans were reasonable, rational, and kind, there was a hefty chunk that weren't so much. Which, instead of listening to the words coming out of my mouth in those videos, decided to instead put words in my mouth, ignore them, and pick and choose what they wanted to hear. Which of course isn't aggravating in the slightest. However, with the experiences I have had with certain hardcore Overwatch fans from my past two Overwatch videos, there's one thing I have noticed about certain fans. Now, I'm not generalizing and saying all fans, that would be ridiculous and irrational. I'm saying certain fans, certain hardcore fans of this upcoming game, which isn't even out yet, but's been in closed beta for a select few people for quite a lengthy period of time, is that these certain hardcore fans just cannot take any sort of criticism towards Overwatch or Blizzard. And I'm going to repeat myself just quickly here because I know someone's going to ignore what I just said. I am not generalizing the entire fan base of Overwatch. I am talking about a certain hardcore select few who are a tad bit overprotective of the game, at least in my opinion. Now, in my last two Overwatch videos, I talked about how Overwatch is kind of falsely advertising itself with these cinematic CG story cutscene trailers, when there's no actual story campaign or story mode in Overwatch. And the Overwatch video after that discussing the Tracer's butt Overwatch controversy, and how I pointed out, in my opinion, that this wasn't about SJWs or feminists, but about the game director, Jeff Kaplan, doing something that I think is unprofessional. Not personally attacking or insulting the game director, I have nothing against the guy. Just in my opinion, how he addressed and kind of started this whole controversy was unprofessional, in my opinion. And how I believe the controversy should have been more about unprofessionalism than about the typical feminists and SJWs and how they affect video gaming, blah blah blah. And of course, a great deal of Overwatch fans were quick to defend and outright ignore some of the things I said. However, some of them did indeed bring up some solid points. One of those being that there are perfectly good multiplayer-only first-person shooter video games out there. Not every game needs a story campaign. And I agree, exactly. But here's the thing, with the video games Titanfall, Evolve, Rainbow Six Siege, all those multiplayer-only video games were harshly criticized for not having a story campaign. Even though they were multiplayer-only games that did have story in the games, they did have lore and some semblance of story within the games themselves because they didn't have the typical single-player story campaign, these games were harshly criticized by the gaming community. And yet Overwatch, for some reason, is getting a free pass. Why is it that Titanfall, Evolve, and Rainbow Six Siege, these multiplayer-only games, get criticized for not having single-player story campaigns? They get criticized for being multiplayer-only games. And yet Overwatch, oh, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't need a story campaign. To me, personally, that's a tad bit hypocritical and unfair. Why do all these other multiplayer games get to be criticized, yet Overwatch doesn't get to be criticized? Not allowed to be criticized for not having a single-player story campaign? I'm sorry, in my opinion, if we're going to criticize all these other multiplayer-only games for not having story campaigns, I think Overwatch should get the same treatment, just for the sake of, well, being fair. And to add to this, Overwatch is launching with microtransactions. Yet no one is complaining. No one is criticizing Blizzard or Overwatch for having microtransactions in their game, even though they are just cosmetic. But games like Evolve and Rainbow Six Siege, and even free-to-play games like Warframe, get criticized and ridiculed and complained about for having cosmetic microtransaction DLC. How come Evolve and Rainbow Six Siege and Warframe and all these other games that have cosmetic microtransactions get criticized, but not Overwatch? Why does Overwatch get a free pass? Do you guys get where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? Overwatch is committing all these different acts that before, with other video games before it, have been heavily criticized, such as advertising things in trailers that are not going to be in the game, such as being a multiplayer-only game that flaunts this diverse and unique world and lore, but it's not actually going to have any sort of story to flesh it out. On top of that, having cosmetic microtransactions. Like, all these things have happened with other video games and have set off controversy and debate, and, sorry to repeat myself, criticism. What you hardcore Overwatch fans who hate me for sharing my opinion, ooh, look at those dislikes, look at all those dislikes. What you got to realize is that every game has the right to be criticized, and everyone has the right to criticize a video game. Every video game is going to have things we like and agree with, and things we dislike and don't agree with. And we're allowed to share them. I don't see why you feel the need to shut me down or shut me up. Overwatch is not a perfect video game, and it's not going to be a perfect video game when it launches. And hell, I've said this before in a previous video. The only reason I'm criticizing Overwatch and being critical of it and making the effort to do so is 1, because I don't see anyone else doing it, and 2, because I actually genuinely really like the game, even though I haven't played it yet. It's a gorgeous looking game. The playable characters look awesome and fun to play as. It looks like a refreshing new IP and franchise. So it disappoints me that everyone is just sucking the game's dick. Everyone's just praising the game. Everyone's just praising Blizzard, when the company and the game are making obvious mistakes. And on top of that, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but other video games like Titanfall, Evolve, and Rainbow Six Siege have been criticized for a multitude of things that Overwatch is doing but not being criticized for. It, in my personal opinion, seems very unfair. Why do these other games get shit on for not having story campaigns and having cosmetic microtransactions and being multiplayer-only games, but Overwatch, oh, it's doing all the exact same things, and it's A-okay, it's a brilliant game, it's revolutionary, 10 out of 10, come on. Like, you can't sit there and tell me that Overwatch is a flawless game. You can tell me you love the game, and I'm glad you love the game. I'll gladly sit here and tell you about a game I love as well. But even my favorite video game of all time, even my favorite video games that I love to pieces have flaws in them. Now, if I was directly attacking and insulting the game and the company and the people that play it, then you have every right to tear me a new asshole. Because I'm being an asshole. Someone who's being hateful and vitriolic over a video game and just being rude and spiteful to the developer and the game and people who play it and like it, well, they're an asshole and they deserve dislikes and criticism and all that jazz. All I'm doing is giving constructive criticism and sharing my opinion. I'm not directly insulting you. I'm not directly attacking you or the company or the game. Hell, I've even stated multiple times I like Overwatch. I'm going to buy it. I've pre-ordered the sucker. But you know what? I'm still going to be critical of it. I'm still going to offer constructive criticism. Like Titanfall, like Evolve, like Rainbow Six Siege, I love those games to pieces. I still have constructive criticism to give on the games. I mean, come on, it's just being fair and reasonable. Am I right? Am I crazy? I must be crazy. Alrighty, 2 last things I want to address here. First off, I still stand by that Blizzard is falsely advertising the game. These cinematic CG trailers for Overwatch are displaying this story and this lore and this world. It's even showing off characters and models and locations that are not going to be in the final product. And I don't get why not more people are upset about this. Why can I only see these awesome epic moments with these characters in these CG trailers? Why can't I experience them in the game? Wouldn't it have been awesome to play as Tracer or Winston as they battled Reaper and Widowmaker like they did in that museum in the first reveal trailer? What about in the Recall and Alive trailers? Why couldn't we have played as one of the characters, battling groups of enemies, trying to complete an objective, and fighting an Overwatch character as a boss battle? We know Blizzard is capable of doing this. I mean, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars making those CG trailers. And as beautiful as those trailers are to look at, had they not made them, they could have easily used that money to make a story mode in Overwatch and do everything I just described. But hey, that's just my thoughts and feelings on the matter. Before I end this video, one thing I want to address, because I know someone in the comments section is going to bring this up. Gamertron, you're complaining about Overwatch fans being overprotective, but weren't you overprotective of the Doom open beta? My Doom open beta video about the negative Steam reviews were about dispelling and debunking lies and misinformation that were being spread about the game. I was not being overprotective or attacking or insulting anybody in the negative Steam reviews who had legitimate criticisms about the open beta. That video was about separating the lies from the truth. It was not being outraged at constructive criticism. I need to get that off my chest before someone said it in the comment section. I know someone was going to say that in the comment section. However, speaking of the comments section, please leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this video and the topic of this video in the comment section below. I love reading comments. I get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. If you like the video in any way, shape, or form, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved with the video if you hit the like button. And if you want to support the channel and this video, then please share the video on social media, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you want to help me out and support me directly, then please consider pledging and becoming a patron on my Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I will see you all later.